Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By. We are on episode 196. Ow! And everyone get ready to fan wank. Ow, ow! Because we are covering two Deep Space Nine Season 5 episodes, The Assignment and Trials and Tribble-ations.
Woo!
Wank, 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 wank! Ow, ow!
Oh my goodness, Ames is full of ow ow.
It's an ow ow day.
It is
an ow ow day.
Speaking of which, this is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
This be Jake.
And this is Chris.
Ow ow! So, we're gonna start talking about The Assignment. It is a Bajoran MacGuffin kind of week here on Deep Space Nine.
Ooh, you're right.
Yeah, so we're starting off with The Assignment. Miles, Data, and Troy are possessed by an alien entity, pretending to be Starfleet. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Wrong episodes. Jesus. Sorry. Keiko has been avoiding Miles in the fire caves. And when she returns, she says to Miles, by the way, I'm not Keiko. But however, she is actually an entity that is possessing Keiko's body and threatening to murder the fuck out of Keiko if Miles doesn't do its bidding. And I'm like, what's the downside here? It's Miles' birthday. This is his fucking present. Come on, people. But Miles, being the bleeding heart that he is, starts doing her bidding anyway. It seems harmless enough, so he's doing all this stuff. He ropes Rom in because it's the only way to shut Rom the fuck up. And they're doing all this stuff that seems squicky, but they're not sure if it's going to be that squicky. Really, they're just afraid about Keiko being a bitch, more of a bitch than usual, potentially hurting Molly. Weird. But eventually, Dax realizes, something's wrong. Miles, have you seen that something looks wrong? And Miles is like, oh, nope, let me check that out. Yep, let me figure this out. So he does what anyone would do and kill Keiko. No, I'm sorry. Throw Rom under the bus. Which was pretty great.
That's legit.
Yeah, Rom, however, is suddenly a better engineer than Miles, and realizes that all these tasks that Keiko has been making them do is gonna blow up the wormhole. And I'm like, what's the downside here?
Aww.
So Rom tells us all this backstory that he knows from his lady Lita about these Bajoran folklore characters, the Pa Wraiths, which of course turn out to be real because god damn it, Bajor. So Miles decides, fuck it, let's kill the prophets anyway. What could possibly go wrong? But alas, it was a lark, and Miles used his doohickey thing to zap the Pa Wraith out of Keiko. And then he gets home from the shuttle pod, and boy, does he ever have some splaining to do.
Literally.
So, I've got to give credit to Rosalind Chow for her work in this episode, because she resisted the urge to go, like,
mustache twirlingly evil?
Yeah.
Judge Doom.
She didn't go, like, say, Mirror Universe Julian or something like that. She just went...
Vantica.
Or that. Oh, man, Vantica.
Vantica, the Bella Lugosi?
Yeah, that was... But there was just this very upsetting coldness that she injected into all of her delivery.
That's just Keiko.
Which, no. There was a flat, cold, like, a cruelty. Even the way she ate a fucking bonbon was just, like, so dismissive. I really thought it was good, because it made her switch when she had to publicly be pleasant when people were around a bit more convincing, because she wasn't, like, going from, like you said, twirling a mustache to big smile.
I mean, presumably this Pa Wraith is has read all of Keiko's memories, knows everything there is to know about how to A, be Keiko, and B, turn off Miles.
Yeah, but you could still see, like, a different actor, different director, or a different combination of people deciding, like, when other folks aren't around, really ham up the evil, and they didn't, and that's, I think, a good thing, because for me, otherwise, this episode was a little, like, It never
Power
quite
play.
grabbed me.
It
Yeah,
was
like
just power play again.
no,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just
And
power play.
And a little bit whispers.
yeah, but yeah, because I said the same thing at one point with Caitlin. I was like, this is just that other episode, but in reverse. She's possessed instead of him. They even kind of reference it when she's like, stasis field, because wasn't that their original plan in power play? Use a stasis field to get the ghosts out of them?
Well, they did something. They bombarded them with some kind of radiation that hurt the...
Yeah, it ultimately didn't work. I remember that much.
Oh, right,
Well, it
Data
only didn't
stepped
work
out of it.
because they didn't get all three of them at once.
Right. But yeah, I don't know, I guess I didn't find it as compelling as it wanted me to, or maybe because I just knew it was obvious Keiko would be fine in the end. I was also expecting them to integrate Rom sooner than they did, because obviously he was going to get involved because they'd been seeding his B-plot the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They did kind of wait a long time considering how they opened with him being like, I'm going to have human breakfast.
Yeah, I'm going to work the shift with the humans.
Yep.
I liked that he was the awkward kid at
the new guy.
The night shift or the day shift or wherever.
Swing shift.
Yeah, that's it.
What's a swing shift?
I assume that must be the middle of 3 shifts.
Yeah, it's probably the people that come in after the day shift but before the night shift.
So second shift.
Second shift, yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, it's probably.
Oh wait, no, they have
right,
4.
because he'd been working night shift.
Oh, right, they do.
Right?
They have 4 shifts on Deep Space Nine.
Maybe the swing shift flips between being
2 and 3.
2, yeah, or like the
1
early,
and 3. No, wait, that would be awful.
Maybe you have day
before the night shift or after the night shift.
Maybe you have day, swing, night, and overnight.
I don't know.
Who knows? Anyway, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, just
because he was only on it for a day, and then
they fired him
as a reward for going along with O'Brien's bullshit. Got promoted to the day shift.
Sorry for fucking you over, Rom. What I had hoped was going to happen, because it felt like they were seeding it this way, was rather than the chief being tricking him into helping him, because they sort of talked about this idea of people kind of don't make an effort to talk to him or notice him or things like that. It was going to be wait a minute, Rom. No one notices you. The alien won't expect. And I thought he was maybe going to confide in Rom and have him help. Which I think would have been...
I need you to kill me, wife.
Yes. Hire Garrick.
Yeah.
But make sure it's a surprise. I don't want her to see it coming.
Yeah, because I feel like poor Rom got fucked a little. I mean, he got rewarded in the end, and now he's going to try pancakes, which, great A. I hope they sit well with him.
Pancakes.
Yeah, better than bacon.
Unlike bacon.
Bacon.
I mean,
bacon's good, but it disagrees with him.
So,
brother,
it's never explained why the alien puts that ridiculous time constraint on.
Yeah, it isn't.
That's true.
The only reason O'Brien even involved Rom was because he had to do it in a too short of a time and needed the help.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not never said on screen, so this is a benefit of the doubt thing, but maybe the alien could only live in Keiko for a certain time.
I feel like that's going to be retconned away from that, though, because I think we're going to see way more par rates in the future.
But if that wasn't the case, though, I mean, she might have just been doing it so that he had less time to potentially reach out to other people and get them involved. No?
I don't know. I mean, because it seems because in the end it backfired completely, because if he hadn't involved Rom, he wouldn't have figured out about the Chronoton weapon.
Yep.
And he would have probably just done it.
That's
like Pa Wraith in Keiko even says, I've been waiting hundreds of years for this. And Miles is let's just get it over with. And Pa Wraith says, be patient.
You need to learn about patience.
Yeah. Why this time constraint then? Why did this all have to get done within 18 hours?
It really did just seem to be for the sake of enjoying being cruel to Miles.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that all the time.
And if he
which
hadn't
Deep Space Nine loves, generally.
They do.
If he hadn't met the deadline, what would,
really.
the alien just have killed Keiko? And because then nothing,
then what?
At the end.
Well, start over. Rinse and repeat.
And real Keiko said at the end, she didn't think that the alien had any intention of letting them live.
Yeah.
Why doesn't this Pa Wraith, because I don't know, we don't know a lot about Pa Wraiths yet. We will learn more. But why doesn't this Pa Wraith, after possessing Keiko, then start possessing Miles? Because Miles has all this access.
maybe you have to be at the fire caves to get possessed. Maybe you can't. Maybe once you're in, you can't transfer to somebody else unless you're at the fire cave.
You have to be in what's it called in Overwatch when you change characters? So you have to be
in the spawn room.
Spawn room, yeah. There you go. Gotta hold down X and spawn.
I loved it. Apparently, there was a line in the Nagus when Jake and Cisco were going to be going down to the fire caves or something, and there was a line that was cut. Someone would say something to the effect of, watch out for paw wraiths, as just a joke. It's just a joke line, and it got cut anyway, so it was that throwaway. Until the writers had this episode, and we were like, okay, so what are these things? Can we somehow tie them back to be important in the overall show, instead of just a monster of the week? And they're like, wait a minute, paw wraiths.
Which I must say sounds like a delightful pastry.
Ooh.
But it's also like, I don't know, I do find it ridiculous just how much of Bajoran mythology is just real.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing that you have the prophets and they turn out to just be aliens. But now we also have their equivalent to, hell and Satan.
Oh, it's the same thing.
They literally live in the fire caves, which is a pretty apt description of what hell is depicted of on Earth.
Yeah.
And they are former prophets that were cast out of the celestial tent. It is literally Christian mythology, pasted onto the Bajoran religion.
Yep.
Well, a little on the nose.
Just a skosh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
plus the fact that they're not only are they, prophesied to, and then they went down to the fire caves, which are a real place where they actually are, and not just a, you can't visit hell, but you can visit the fire caves, and a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But apparently those people don't get possessed by paw wraiths.
Maybe they do.
Well, because they don't have access to Chief O'Brien.
That's true.
The most important man in Starfleet.
Yeah. I did think that, that she was there in the fire caves for some kind of botanical survey of mushrooms.
What plants can grow there?
Mushrooms.
Apparently, mushrooms. Fungi.
Just like Miles. He's a fungi.
Hey. Or it's where the fire flowers come from.
Fire flowers?
Yeah.
From Super Mario Brothers.
Oh,
I was going to say, I was going to make a Mario Brothers joke because I'm pretty sure I've been in caves in Mario games that are filled with fire and have mushrooms.
And then Mario gets possessed by the paw wraiths and has to go blow up the princess's castle.
That's how I remember it too. Yeah.
That's going to be Luigi's Mansion 4.
No, I guess in the early drafts of this episode, it wasn't Keiko is possessed by something. It's a being that I guess maybe only Keiko and Miles can see or something, just follows her back to Deep Space Nine, and is
creepy.
Constantly threatening, I'll kill Keiko if you don't do this, Miles.
It's they said,
let's have her be possessed instead, because that's even creepier.
I don't know if it's because it's Miles or not, but I'm picturing it as a leprechaun telling him to burn things.
Oh!
No, the leprechaun tells Ralph Wiggum to burn things. I was going to say, that's a really fucked up version of the Great Gazoo.
From the Flintstones?
Yeah. That's good.
I see, the real reason they had it be a possession is because that way they didn't have to hire an extra actor.
Yeah, or a CG a little critter.
Yeah.
They did lose an actor this episode because you may have noticed Kira is not in this episode because she went into labor.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah. Originally, it was supposed to be a party that she was putting together for some Bajoran, one of the many Bajoran celebrations of death and demise that she was hosting, and they were like, "Oh no, Nana has gone into labor. We don't have her this week. It's Miles' birthday. Fuck it. Who cares?"
That's great.
So
after this, she's fake pregnant then?
Yep. Yeah, she's going to be fake pregnant for a while.
Okay.
It's the feast of maximum occupancy.
What's that from?
Who's that from?
Simpsons.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, this episode was just kind of meh for me.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it.
It wasn't awful, it wasn't great. I probably won't remember it in a month.
Yeah, it's ideas we've seen before.
A rehash of some other things. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's a little more development for Rom, but not loads.
Well, and it also just, at some point, just abusing Miles, it's just getting boring now.
I'm a big fan of Miles's breakfast, though. That's
a good breakfast.
Right up my alley.
What was his breakfast?
Oh, same. 2 eggs.
Over
bacon.
easy.
Oh, no, I thought it was scrambled.
No, over easy.
Over easy?
Yep.
Bacon.
Either way, 2 eggs, bacon, and corned beef hash.
And corned beef hash, yeah.
Jake does love a corned beef hash.
And human coffee instead of Ractigino.
Wow.
How about some orange juice?
Yeah, so I noticed they didn't sing Happy Birthday. They sang For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. And it made me realize, is there a gender-neutral or even just a lady version of For He's a Jolly Good Fellow?
I think you could just say For She's a Jolly Good
Fellow.
Lady?
Fellow.
Yeah, no, For She's a Jolly Good Fellow. People will do that.
People do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, this is back before someone finally sued those idiots.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was very recent.
Yeah, thank God that finally happened. That was so dumb.
I don't know.
I really
kind of liked a little variety at
song.
restaurants.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh no, it's a dumb song, but the fact that these assholes were clinging on to an unfair copyright just pissed me off.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely irritating.
That's copyright since the beginning of copyright. Well, since Disney's beginning of copyright.
True, but this one was even less legitimate.
Bug.
If that's possible. Anyway, we're not here about the happy birthday song. We're here about the DS track.
Keiko continuing to torture Miles. What did you guys think of her making him sleep in the bed?
Oh yeah, that was creepy.
That was weird. As if Miles doesn't sleep on the couch every night.
Now that was that Power Wraith is definitely just a nasty, creepy piece of work. Like, I do like the way it was written. Again, I like the way Chow played it. I just wish it was a better episode.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the Power Wraiths, or at least like the idea of an evil version of the Prophets. And it also seems to me like, you know, in terms of going back to the mythology of things, that, you know, the Power Wraith or the Prophets that we see are, they're very oblivious. They're very innocent. They know things, but they don't know things.
They don't understand things.
They don't understand things. They're very limited. And then
they don't have the context.
Obviously these Power Wraiths are very worldly, you know, they know how to impersonate people.
Do the Power Wraiths then not see through time the same way the wormhole aliens do?
So if I was going to project the mythology of, you know, the Christian mythology onto this, I would say there's probably like, you know, a Garden of Eden sort of
wings snipping ceremony.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, if you're in the Celestial Temple, if you're in the wormhole, you know, from there you can see through time, and that's sort of the paradise. And when you're cast out, you don't have that ability anymore. You're just a being that lives in a cave. And my guess is that this Power Wraith wanted to, you know, kill the prophets, so that the Power Wraiths could then
move back in. I wonder how much of the, like, crazy internal strife and bullshittery on Bajor was caused by the fact that the, you know, literal devil literally lives on the planet and can apparently possess people.
It's Bajor. How would you know?
As I say,
maybe that's the cause of a lot of it. Maybe Power Wraiths keep possessing people, causing conflict, and then fucking off. Like, I
mean, for all we know, I mean, this is actually, I'm glad we have the Power Wraiths. They could provide an explanation for the fucking old man yells at cloud monster.
Yeah.
God, that episode. It keeps haunting us.
If a Power Wraith possessed a cloud of smoke, that's what you get. It would terrorize a small town.
Does that mean that the cloud in TOS is a Power Wraith?
Ooh.
Could be.
See, I was going to say what happened was the Power Wraiths were sitting there, and then at some point, you know, because our TV signals are spreading through space, it started watching Lost and was like, I have an idea.
Polar bears everywhere. For no reason.
I don't know. I mean, if they're mischievous just by nature, then maybe they would find joy in terrorizing a town.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that could really explain it. Maybe a lot of the internal strife is actually the work of the Power Wraiths.
Fucking Bajor, man.
Maybe Kai Wynn is a Pa Wraith possessed.
Nah.
I don't want to give her that excuse. I think she's just an evil twat.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when Miles is done destroying the wormhole, he should have also destroyed Bajor.
Well, again, it probably it sounds like the idea was the wormhole would have been fine. Just the prophets would have been.
Yeah, it would have fucked up the prophets, just like it fucked up the Pa Wraith.
Yeah.
So I guess the assumption is that the Pa Wraith, despite their mythological difference, they're the same type of alien. The Pa Wraiths and the prophets. They're just
it's like you said. It's like
the bad guys versions of that.
They've been reading a lot of Milton, so they came up with this. Yeah,
I haven't read Milton in a dog's age, but I'm sure there's like all sorts of stuff that is directly lifted from that.
A dog's?
Oh, yeah, in many, many series.
Yeah, but I mean for this episode, like.
Yeah, I also know for this episode, and because there's not a lot to say about this episode, because the writers, like the whole fucking writing room, was busy writing Trials and Tribble-ations. So basically, this episode was kind of like
some filler.
Yeah, it was kind of on the margin. It was like, someone else work on that. I think the people who wrote it weren't their normal writers. There were people who were specifically just writing this episode, whilst everyone else was working Trials and Tribble-ations, which aired after this, but was produced earlier because there was just so much post-production work to do.
Yeah.
I sort of find that hard to believe that they had to put that many staff on it when it's an episode that already exists that they barely.
They were also just
the writing staff in particular should have been pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's like let's go back to this.
It was getting it all to tie together neatly. I guess.
I guess, but it wasn't like anything was that.
Well, we'll get to that.
We're not talking about that one yet. We'll get there.
Can we get there? Because man, this episode really sucked.
I just wanted to mention how I can't wait till the episode where we find out about the special Bajoran earring that was forged, and whenever you put it on, the Pa Wraiths can sense that, and they're going to come after you.
But hey, you turn invisible.
It does make you turn invisible.
What are you talking about?
You know, the one Bajoran earring to rule them all.
Oh, God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it all. All right, fuck Jake forever. Let's talk about Trials and Tribble-ations.
I'm glad Chris got it immediately. That was good.
All right, so I wrote up an outline to get me through, thinking that it would make me talk less, but it's actually the longest outline I've written yet, so here we go.
Woo!
All right, first off, there's a frame story. I'm not going to bother with it to the end of this synopsis because fuck the frame story. We're flying around with the new MacGuffin of the week, which turns out to be the Bajoran Orb of Time. Not even going to start. There's a Bajoran Orb of Time, just accept it. We meet our newest friend, Barry Waddle, who's some merchant who's totally innocent. He's just exactly what he seems. He's just some guy. When, oh fuck! We end up in the past, around Space Station K7. And all the fans immediately have an accident in their pants when a gorgeous new model of the original Enterprise flies by. It was very pretty. Good for them. We come to realize, damn it, Waddle, you were Arn Darvin all along. We remember you from The Trouble with Tribbles, an episode Jadzia has seen before. You must be here to assassinate Kirk. And I'm like, what's the downside here? No, I'm sure there would have been. So we're all here, and I know we all just came super hard when we saw the Enterprise, but this is a tantric episode. So get ready.
I passed out for 5 minutes. Truth facts.
Yeah. So get ready for an episode-long stroke session.
I ran out of Vaseline by the time it was over.
Yeah,
I'm edging so again right now.
Well, put it away, Caitlin. So all of our favorite DS9 characters and Miles are now just in The Trouble with Tribbles. No, I like Miles well enough. I just love giving him shit.
Yeah, it's easy.
So we're now in the old episode from TOS down to every fucking detail. We've got the old tricorders and communicators. Jadzia's ass is hanging out of her uniform. The sets are made of cardboard and of dreams. They implant the characters, and this is it's so impressive what they do. They implant the characters into the old footage, and it looks really cool. Seriously, they had to mop up the set every night because everyone was that excited. All right, everyone, put your pants back on. We're on a mission here. We are here to find Darvin and to pet Tribbles, and we're all out of Darvin. All right, luckily, we capture Darvin. after the big giant Klingon fight that everyone remembers from Tribbles. And Darwin admits that he stuffed some explosives up a Tribble's cloaca. Oh my god, it must be in the storage compartment.
Storage compartments.
So Jadzia and Sisko save the day. Jadzia goes off to bang Koloth, and Sisko fanboys all over Kirk. Meanwhile, Kira has wizarded herself to find a way to get us home again, and to deal with the dun-dun-dun, the Federation Department of Temporal Investigations. Told you I was getting back to the Frame story. We wrap up that Frame story. Our new paranormal investigator friends... God damn it.
Yeah.
Dolmer and Luxley.
Yep.
Why is that? Why?
Because they're anagrams of Mulder and Scully, and fuck you.
Oh.
They agree that the truth is out there and head out. And Deep Space Nine is now inundated with Mo Tribbles and Mo Troubles.
Well done.
Good
jokes.
It's funny that you brought up the Old Man Yells at Cloud episode, because the taller, dark-haired temporal guy was in that episode. He was the guy that called for help.
Oh.
Because we looked him up, because we're like, we were familiar, but honestly, I didn't recognize him from that. But he's in a million things.
I don't even remember there being another character in that.
Yep. But yeah, so it's funny. He was the one that like called Deep Space Nine to be like, please send a doctor. But yeah.
Yep. Happy 30th anniversary, Star Trek. Here's something to wank about.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I mean, this is a true crossover episode, right?
Well, crossover I thought we didn't like.
Hey. Yeah. You know, this is the wank that the fans were blue balls on Star Trek Generations.
Yeah.
And they're finally getting their due.
Yep.
Dewin, because he was in this as well.
Oh, Dewin. Nice. You know what's a fucking outrage and made me almost want to flip a table? No Koloth. Fuck this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was an issue with like pay.
Oh,
like,
they're really
I wonder if they had to pay all the actors.
Yeah, they did. They had to pay them residuals. I have a quote. I have a lot of research on this episode just because there's so much that they covered in all the resources that I look at. And the quote that I have is that Walter Koenig, hooray, was brought in to give everyone a crash course on like Enterprise button mashing.
Nice.
And between that, bringing him in to do that, and the residuals he got for the footage he was in, he made 8 times more in residuals than for the original episode.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
So that's 8 ham sandwiches.
Ooh, I was gonna make the sandwich joke. Thank you.
If they had him in the room, they should have had him like record some voice lines so they could have because that was the one thing that stood out to me was that
it's all old footage.
It's all old footage. The only real scene where they had any interaction between the original crew and the DS9 crew is when Kirk is dressing down everyone for the brawl.
He also gets the dailies from Sisko at the end.
That's true.
Which was super. That was pretty forced.
Yeah,
though.
which is actually from Mirror Mirror.
Yeah, that's right, because that's the scene where he meets the original universe version of Kirk's wife.
His girlfriend.
Marlena? Was that her name?
Yeah. Something like that.
No, that was McGivers, I think.
Oh.
I forget the chick's name.
But so which I understand. I mean, they did they busted out that Forrest Gump tech.
Yep.
It looked good.
It looked really good.
There were like 2 instances that I was like, green screen. There's one. But not
considering
much.
it's almost 25-year-old TV tech, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Also,
and I'm sure it looked. I mean, like we're watching it on a high definition television. I know it's not a high definition episode, but I'm sure on a low definition set.
Oh yeah.
On its original platform, it would have been blown away.
And it was also, I mean, unless you had a big screen TV back then, it was also a lot smaller.
Yep,
that's true.
It's funny how we just take for granted now that TVs are fucking enormous.
Yep.
I also feel like part of the thing with integrating Koloth, don't we pretty much only see him in the
In Kirk's office, I think.
Yeah.
Not Kirk's, but yeah,
in the
oh yeah,
station
what's his
office.
name's office?
Yeah, and there really just would have been no convincing way to get any of the DS9 crew into those scenes without people going, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah, that's true.
So it's still a shame.
It is, but I can see how I'm willing to bet they tried to figure something out, but we're just like, there is no.
See, that's why they actually needed all their writers. They were like, we need to figure out how to get Koloth in this episode!
I want to see those pretty eyes, damn it!
Dude, he did. He had such pretty eyes.
And but I do like
Sad
how
face.
so we get some interesting so obviously we already knew that Dax was friends with Koloth, but now we know that Dax and McCoy had a thing.
Love it.
And she wanted to bone down with Spock as well.
She has good taste.
Well, she wanted Spock, but she had McCoy, apparently.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for this. I ship them hard.
I just want to know what Dr. McCoy was doing skulking around a gymnastics competition.
What would you
We
be
don't know.
doing?
Maybe he was a gymnast in college.
Maybe
he is
Or
very
he
live.
might just have been there as a physician in case someone got injured.
Well, they
True.
said
That
he was
makes more
still
sense.
he said he was still a student at Old Miss at the
All right,
time.
fine.
so
Then he was a pervert. What do you want?
He was a young man looking for.
He was
No, but that's what I mean. Like,
diddling gymnasts.
it is
okay?
possible that
Jesus.
part of it was like part of the training is you're gonna be here in case somebody fucking pulls a hammy, or again,
Or wants to give you a handy.
maybe.
Listen.
Look, he never said he wasn't a gymnast at Ole Miss, which means maybe he was.
I bet he could be. He's very live.
Yeah, that's what Ames said.
Oh,
Although-
she's
although-
right.
Although
Good job, Ames.
male gymnasts need a ton of upper body strength, so maybe not.
He's
so
got
much.
it. You've seen his strong arms.
You remember that episode where he's
Have
chained
I?
up and shirtless?
Oh, that one.
He's kind of. It's also been like 20 years, so maybe he lost some definition.
Listen.
Yeah, in preparation for this episode, I rewatched Trouble with Tribbles. And to watch it, almost right before watching this episode, just to see like what the looks were and what the things that they were doing were, and they did such a great job recreating things.
Yeah.
Like just that red grate material that's in front of things.
Yep.
Yeah, just so many details. Like the design crew just got really just meticulous with details for this show, and it shows. It was also incredibly expensive.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah, the number I wrote down, and it's unclear what this number is for. It's unclear if this number is for just the design of the TOS elements or the episode fully. But the number I wrote down was $3 million.
That is
Yeah,
a
well,
lot of space.
Dax did
for
look
96.
good.
Yeah,
So-
Ira Stephen Bear describes it as probably the most expensive hour of episodic TV ever produced at the time.
Damn.
That was then. that was well before
1996 monies?
that. Yeah, well,
I don't know,
I'm
because the original Battlestar Galactica was infamously expensive. So I kind of wonder if, adjusted for inflation, it still topped an episode of that.
I don't know.
Well, to the point where they sold footage to Buck Rogers, right? Isn't that?
Yeah. Well, the thing with the original Battlestar footage shows up every time, like so many times. I'm like, the Cylons are attacking in this random sci-fi film.
Oh,
for
wasn't
some
it
reason.
Space Mutiny.
Space Mutiny? Yeah.
Infamously uses
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Those Cylons, they get around.
They do. But yeah, and I'm sure that like some of that stuff that we just like, oh wow, look at what they recreated. It was like they had to go and be like, so what was it? It's like, I don't know, some random thing they bought at like a garden supply store in the 60s. No one makes it anymore.
Yeah,
we have to recreate this pigment.
I have a list of stuff they had to do for this episode. Like, for example, they bought 1,400 tribbles from Majel Barrett's merchandise company, Lincoln Enterprises. Which, holy shit, that's a lot of tribbles. They were really
a lot of tribbles.
Yeah, they were really concerned about like chairs, because the chairs in the 1960s era were so specific, and they don't really make them anymore.
Nope.
So I guess they found one for, I want to say the bar scene. They found one in existence that looked kind of like what they were going for. So they made a cast out of it to make more.
Smart.
Brilliant,
actually.
Yeah. Luckily, they found Klingon costumes in stock, because they just don't fucking make that material anymore. What else did they do?
That
They
would
did
have
a
been
lot.
expensive. They had to have like custom textiles made for it.
Yeah, no, that would have. Oof.
Yeah, and then they had new models of the Enterprise, Space Station K7, and the Klingon cruiser created.
Now, were those CG models or were those physical models they built?
I believe they were physical. I have to look it up because I just read this, that basically they were expecting the guy who created the model for the Excelsior that we're going to see eventually in Voyager. Because, at the same time this is happening, they're doing flashback for Voyager, which is their tribute to the 30th anniversary of TOS.
They have a crossover episode, too.
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the guy that made the Excelsior, they just happened to, in passing, mention, oh yeah, we're doing this thing for DS9. So he just started making the Enterprise, just expecting, they're going to need this. I'm going to start making this now.
I know I saw a photo of, the DS9 staff with an Enterprise model. So, at the very least, an Enterprise was built. I don't know if they used it.
I mean, it's interesting, though, because, we know that the original shooting model of the Enterprise still exists.
In the Smithsonian.
Well, it's in the Smithsonian now.
I think it was then.
Oh.
I want to say it was
I bet
then.
they could have borrowed it.
So, the thing is, at that point, it was hanging from the ceiling and actually was in kind of rough shape. And they'd redone it at some point, but whoever redid it fucked up the paint job and gave it the paint job from the movie era.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's bad.
Yeah, so that's why, now, a few years ago, I think either right when we were starting this or right before we started this, they took it down, also realized the way they'd hung it up nearly destroyed it. So they completely refurbed it, they got the paint right, they put it's now in a glass box on the floor. They had to do this whole thing, they were trying to find a way to recreate the spinny effect digitally.
Ooh.
But they just couldn't. They were no amount of digital anything we do could get it to look right.
Yeah, just they had to have the spinning.
So they just refurbed the motors, but to keep it from getting fucked up, they only turn it on, I think, for an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon.
So it's one of those shows at the museum, at 2 o'clock they're turning the Enterprise on, we gotta go see.
Yeah, it's always there, and it's always, I think, lit up, but if you want to see it, going, you have to be there at certain times.
And after that, we're going to see the Sea Lion show.
Yes.
Hey.
But yeah, so even if they had borrowed it at the time, God knows how much money they would have to have spent fixing it. It was probably cheaper to build a new one.
Yeah, I bet.
Also, I bet you that model was a lot bigger than that they needed for the...
True, yeah, because standards had changed.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The plot of the episode is weak, in my opinion.
It's wedged in so that they can... I'm going to, as I said, there were 5 writers on this thing making it happen. And I think they just wanted to do a Trouble with Tribbles episode.
Yeah. It's effectively Back to the Future Part 2. The scenes where Marty is hiding from himself at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. Right. And the thing, it's like you were saying, Ames, the point of this episode kind of isn't the story.
Right. It's a celebration. It's here to be impressive as fuck, which it certainly is, and celebrate Star Trek. That's what it is. It's here for everyone to have something to be happy about. I know when Jadzia and them first enter the Enterprise, that was their first time on the set. They hadn't seen the set before. So when they're nice. Oh my god, it's the Enterprise, those are all real reactions.
That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, they nailed the look, the color, the extras. Some of the extras, they didn't just have the hair and makeup from the 60s. It looks like they lifted actors out of the 60s.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this before. There's a look they had in the 60s.
Yeah, side wig with tall hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
But even the faces
ass
sometimes.
hanging out.
Right. We were talking about the certain types of faces that they children would have and that adults, women would have.
The 5 men. Approved faces.
Yep.
Yeah.
The woman that wants to get her physical from
gross.
From possibly her great grandson.
Yeah,
gross.
from her great grandson.
Unnecessary.
She definitely she blended right in.
Oh yeah.
With the
period
cast.
Her eyeshadow was gross.
I have a great story.
The 60s.
I have a great story about her too.
Tell us your great story, Ames.
It's a great story.
I love your great stories.
Originally, that character was just the girl in the turbo lift that says Deck 15.
Mm-hmm.
And they were having so much trouble finding someone who could say Deck 15 without sounding like an asshole. So they brought in like a friend of the production or a friend of the production team. I guess it was a girl who had played a Ryzen pleasure girl in Captain's Holiday before.
Oh, okay.
So someone that they knew, they just bring her in saying, you know how to do this. Just say Deck 15. It's not hard. God damn it. But then they liked her so much because, she's a friend of theirs that they decided, hey, let's build a little plot around it because it's funny. Let's make Bashir a creep again. Damn it.
I was saying to Caitlin, like, is this why Fry is his own grandfather?
Maybe.
Did someone see this and be like, hey, let's have this actually happen?
Yeah,
well,
I like
that whole thing, the grandfather paradox is so named because of, like, this is a thing that people have thought about.
Well, the original is what happens you go back in time and kill your grandfather, not what happens you go back in time and are your grandfather. So it's a little different. But yes, it's definitely, there's a non-zero chance it's not at all related. But then again, everyone who worked on Futurama clearly loved Star Trek. So.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's also another Back to the Future moment as well.
True.
Building on that with
almost.
Marty and his mom.
Yeah.
Calvin Klein.
It's so fun.
The thing is, Bashir really wants to be his own great-grandfather.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Which is the weird
What
part.
if she's in love with me? Stop! Please stop,
Cause
Julian.
It's Bashir. Of course he would love to be his own grandfather just for the sheer weirdness of it.
Do you know I'm the youngest man to be his own grandfather?
God damn it.
I'm only 35.
Oh god, and him and fucking O'Brien with the plastered down 60s hair.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looked horrible on Cole Meany, my God.
Saying they must have spent so much money
bad.
on pomade for this episode.
Yeah, you
pomade is like $2 a jar.
Yeah,
they
but
didn't spend any money on it.
They needed so much because of the extras and this and that.
Okay.
Oh, they had one
spent
of the
$10 on pomade for 200 people.
That
probably.
random engineer had the like tri-stick
Ooh,
tool
nice.
that we never were clear what it did.
An important piece of equipment.
It is.
Yeah, I wonder how
Shove it up
many,
your ass.
you mentioned things that they had to recreate. I wonder how many, if there were any props or things that they were able to like salvage
reuse.
from collections.
I feel like they built most of them. I feel like I read that they just could it's easier to build like small handheld things.
Yeah,
Those
true.
communicators didn't open this smoothly as you might expect.
Yeah. So we get another little lore acknowledgement,
Data.
a little fan when they notice that the Klingons don't look like Klingons should look.
Yeah, there's no way around that now.
And this is just where they should have left it.
Yes, agreed.
There we go. Never
Emphatically
talk
agree.
about
Discuss
it.
it with outsiders.
Never.
Great.
That's the whole explanation. We never needed anything more. We're gonna get more. This was fine.
Yeah,
This would have been perfect.
They acknowledged that, it was one thing to have Kor Koloth and Kang on with new makeup and be like, just don't address it. No one will. People will accept it. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's another thing to have them in the same room together.
Yeah. It is funny, like, though, it's only been, less than a century, and already people in Starfleet from the Federation don't know about this. Like, do you think when they make, I don't know, movies or comic books or whatever about the past, do they just have the modern Klingons and like in universe?
Oh no, pick me.
Oh yeah.
So also while I was researching this episode, there is a sequel comic that I found that I would love for us to do a dramatic reading of one day just for fun.
Let's do it.
But I am expecting this to be a long episode, so maybe not today. Maybe it can be like special feature or something. It's called Nobody Knows the Tribbles I've Seen.
Oh no.
I read it this week, and what it is, it's basically a bunch of the characters sit down after this episode would have happened, and they're all like wondering, I wonder why it is that Klingons hate Tribbles so much. And it's Miles tells a stupid story about why, what he's heard as the reason. Then Julian tells a stupid story. And then Dax tells the stupidest story there is for why Tribbles look like that. And in one of their stories, it also happens that whatever side effect being around Tribbles has on Klingons is what gives them the head ridge. So all the Tribbles that ended up on Koloth's ship were contagious and gave them all the head ridge.
This is some kind of weird Star Trek Plato's Symposium. What is Tribble?
I don't know if that is worse or better than what the eventual explanation actually is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with better. Everything is better with Tribbles. It's like cheddar.
Yeah.
So we also find out, though, that after this event, the Klingons essentially declared all-out war on the Tribbles.
And wiped them out.
Which is wiped them out. Hysterical, sort of.
Which I'm like,
not the
wow.
wipe-out part, but
they sing the songs to
part.
this day.
Well, they wiped them out, but now now they've been reintroduced by our crew.
Look, everyone's going to be all pissed off until a big fluffy probe comes from thousands of light years away and only a Tribble can talk to it.
That's true.
I love that.
I love that Odo was super into these fucking Tribbles.
We gotta remember, he's still getting used to being a solid.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know. It
So
must
it's
feel
like,
amazing.
he
Even
can
without
pet
being
it,
high, he was
yeah.
stoked.
Like, this is just...
Like both Jadzia and I believe McCoy or Spock says this. Spock says,
so.
"Oh, they're pleasant and they pat and they give a nice trail when you pat them."
Yeah.
It's obvious humanoids would like this thing.
Yep, Spock says that for sure. And I think, doesn't Uhura also? They give us love.
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody loves Tribbles.
Yeah.
Did
I'm glad
they
they've
see
been...
Uhura in this episode?
Yes.
In that one scene?
Oh, in...
Yeah, just
when
in the
they give her
purchasing scene.
when she gets the Tribble?
Well, that's not unusual for a TOS episode, though.
I was going to say.
Sadly.
Isn't she also... do we see the room where they suddenly have a ton of Tribbles? Is that in this episode, too? Where Doc comes in and takes one to do experiments on?
Oh, when they go to get and it's in the food, that scene.
She might be in the background there with the chicken salad.
This is my chicken sandwich and coffee.
Yeah, she's definitely in the background a bunch.
And they did a great job of putting our DS9 folks in the background as well. Some shots was really great.
So, for the bridge, did they just have to rebuild that portion where, like
where Sisko and
was
Dax
sitting
hang
that
out?
time?
Well, they already should have had a pie slice of the bridge
from the Scotty episode.
From the Scotty episode,
unless they trashed
they rebuilt the chair.
They did
part of the bridge for that.
No, they borrowed the chair from a fan.
Oh, that's right.
I don't remember what they did with the bridge set. I think there was a lot of green screening of certain bits.
That could have probably been almost entirely composited.
Yeah, and they rebuilt a bunch of panels. Like, there were a couple scenes. The only scenes that, really stuck out to me, and I think it's because of the lighting, even though the director, tried to use, camera lenses and film-graded lighting techniques that would have been appropriate for the 60s. But the lighting, when we're on the bridge, and Sisko's over here on the side doing some stuff, whenever we move from looking at Kirk to looking at Sisko, suddenly Sisko is, 1,000% sharper. And I know a lot of it is, the remastering can only go so far, but I also wonder if it's because the way that lighting designers light people with dark skin is very different than lighting people with light skin.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that came into play.
Might have.
I don't know.
Well, it's also probably changed. The way that they light people with dark skin has probably also changed in the, 30 years.
Well, there's that too. But if you're trying to emulate the 60s look.
Well, right, exactly. So they probably lit Sisko the same way they usually light Sisko.
Instead of, Yeah, the only other time I think one of the only other times where it really stood out to me was during the dressing down scene. Most of it was fine. But at one point they have Kirk's shadow fall over O'Brien, and it's a little well, that's
drawn
weird.
in.
Yeah. But aside from when they're a profile in that scene, it's fucking bang on.
That was pretty cool.
That was the ballsiest move they pulled.
There are side-by-side shots of the original and the DS9 shot of the dressing down of everybody standing in a line. And it looks like they cut 3 people out of the line to squeeze Bashir and O'Brien in there.
Yeah, I think that's right. I feel like I've seen that comparison before.
Yeah, so that means... But wait, if they cut those 3 people out, were they not in the bar then? Or did they just not get yelled at this time?
Temporal mechanics.
Did they get killed? Did the Klingons kill them in the fight?
God, I hate time travel.
Exactly.
No, you know what it is? because there were more people than expected in the bar, the original guys didn't get noticed and slunked away.
Nah.
There you go.
I
guess we don't have to fight. These other people are here.
In a closet.
These other people I've never seen before.
Oh no, I mean they were in the fight, but then when like the guards showed up, they were like, "Dur, dur, dur." That was the one weird thing was the fight had like modern music.
Yeah.
I actually was kind of pissed off. I was hoping for that return of that song.
The music directors and the composers for this episode were really hoping to do more TOS style stuff, but I guess the producer teams, I forget who told them no. Someone said, no, this is DS9. Just keep it DS9-like.
Well, and also I'm sure if they had actually used themes from TOS, like, again, money probably would have had to have gone to original composers, and they were already paying actors.
But I think they could have worked in, if not a full score in the style of TOS, they could have at least worked in some, I don't know, some themes that would have been recognizable. But
yeah.
Again, that's asking a lot.
You hear the Alexander Courage theme a little bit.
Yeah, well, because I feel like that one they just pay for by default constantly
Probably,
anyway.
Yeah, I think they probably just own the rights to it at this point.
Yeah. Oh, you know what else got scrapped, which I think would have been a great touch, and fuck them for doing this, but they were talking for a hot second about adjusting the ending credits to do the thing they do with TOS, which is show stills from earlier.
They totally should have.
So cool.
Yeah.
And also to adjust the font and all this stuff.
They could have ended it on Rom's face.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
That would have been fucking astounding.
That would have been great.
I would have liked that.
Oh man.
Yeah. Basically, everyone was
I loved the last shot. It was corny, it was cheesy, but the last shot of the episode with Quark, as the bartender covered in tribbles.
Yep. Oh my God, Jake had the funniest comment as we were watching this episode, because I also re-listened to our episode on Trouble with Tribbles, just to remind ourselves what we talked about. And one thing we were talking about how in the Tribbles episode where the bartender's in the background covered in tribbles and how he doesn't fucking move.
Yeah.
And Jake jokes, well, that's because he died in the middle of the scene and no one noticed.
Yeah.
And I happened to mention, they used part of this scene because this scene actually happens at the end of Trouble with Tribbles, but it's in the middle of this episode where Bashir is inserted into the scene.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's that scene from the end of the episode. Man, that guy just has to stay there this whole time, evidently. And Jake said again, well, that's because he died.
Great minds are me.
Great mind thinks alike.
Consistent.
So, did you read anything? Because I remember a few years ago I read an article about this episode, and I should have looked for it because now the details are vague. But I know that before they settled on this, they were talking about, revisiting an old episode.
Oh, I have some. Yeah, I have 3 instances that they were thinking of doing.
Okay, yes. What were they? Because I don't remember.
Yeah, before they settled on Trouble with Tribbles, because it's the popular one. Their first idea was to bring back Charlie Evans.
Right.
But they couldn't convince themselves that Charles Walker would actually be interested. Which is a shame, because I think it would be cool to see what he's up to these days. Because I'm sure he's still alive in DS9 because he's an omnipotent child thing.
Yeah.
Another thought that they had was to go back to Gangster Planet, and all the people there would be imitating Spock and Kirk.
Oh,
dude, I would have one of them suits.
That would have been amazing, actually.
If
they went back to Gangster Planet and just everybody was dressed in TOS uniforms.
It'd be good. I like it.
That would have been beautiful.
That would have been that would have been worth it. Somebody should do a comic or something, because I like that idea. Because Gangster Planet is that's one of my top episodes.
That's such a good episode.
The other idea is, I want to say Ronald D. Moore, reminded everybody, y'all remember Scotty exists, right? He is in this timeline. We could use him. But then they all said, yeah, but in the Voyager episode that we're doing for the 30th anniversary, we're bringing back a different character, wink, wink. And we don't want to do the same thing twice.
That makes sense.
And they've already had a Scotty episode.
I feel like I read that part of the reason they went with the 2, not just because it was popular, was because they while they were working on this, one of them literally ran into Darwin somewhere.
In a pizza place, getting pizza.
And they were like, hey, how you doing? Quick question.
Yeah.
You want to make $25?
Yeah. Charlie Brill, the actor, basically says, "Well, I'm glad I didn't get Chinese food that day."
I mean, so was he still an actor at this time?
I believe so.
Because I was not into his performance as Old Darvin.
I just love the idea that somehow this Klingon, disguised as a human, over the course of a century, went really nebbishy.
So apparently he's been around. He must have. Well, he's got a new identity.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's still not a Klingon.
He's only aged 30 human years in,
he's
90.
A Klingon.
I know he's Klingon, but how did he convince people that knew him that he's
Cardassian facial surgery? They're good at that.
Maybe he just gets a new identity every couple of decades.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
Now
because he probably. Sorry, go ahead.
I either missed a detail or I read about this and forgot if this is true or not. Is he not welcome back on Kronos? Or...
That's what it sounded like.
Okay.
Because they mentioned,
he was dishonored.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he was in prison, right? That was the whole
thing. Yeah, I was about to say, he was probably in prison for a while. So when he got out, when he got a new identity, it was probably easy enough.
Well, it didn't sound... Well, I'm talking about, like, recently, right? Because they picked him up. He was being held by the Cardassians? Was that...
No, he was just stuck on Cardassia because of the war.
Oh.
So getting passage off was difficult.
I misunderstood that then.
Yeah, no, he's been posing as a merchant for a while, but it's unclear exactly how long. But yeah, there's a good chance he spent an extraordinarily long time just in the hands of the Federation.
But I don't get his plan. So he wants to blow up Kirk, which makes sense because Kirk is responsible for his dishonor.
Most Klingons want to blow up Kirk.
Well, that's true. But he also is like, oh, they're going to build a statue to me. It's like, who the fuck is going to know it was you?
He'll tell them. Don't worry. Once it's done, he'll tell them.
No, he's right, because young Darvin didn't know what was going on.
No.
And presumably...
Would he cease existing if it worked?
In theory, yeah, because he's altered the timeline.
Unless someone else has arrested Darvin in the meantime. McCoy arrests Darvin. McCoy's the hero of the universe.
Well, actually, wait a minute. Is Darvin... He's not in that scene with the grain, is he? He's
not.
When he comes into the office and the Tribbles are like, rah, 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 that's when they figure it out.
That's when they get him. Right.
But that's what I mean. Like, even if, things got blown up, young Darvin wouldn't know that he did it.
Yeah.
Or that
Unless
his older
old
self...
Darvin came and told him and they touched dicks.
Yeah.
Definitely touch dicks. It is TOS.
You know what it is?
There's your second Back to the Future 2 reference. Old Darvin goes and talks to young Darvin and also gives him a sports almanac.
Yeah. See, I was about to say, no, what it is, the explosion happens, he's very confused, then a Western Union guy shows up. We've been holding on to this telegram for 80 years.
Yes.
Evidently, I need to rewatch Back to the Future 2.
Damn good movie.
I'm a big fan of 3.
Me too.
I also enjoy 3, don't get me wrong.
I think they're all
3 is like my favorite,
they're all good.
I think, honestly. I like it more than 2.
A lot of people dislike 3 for some reason.
Oh, it's because it's not,
it's different. It's a different thing.
It's a future, it's a sci-fi Western.
I can't get over the fact that Marty's great-great-great-grandparents look like him and his mom.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
What's going on in that family tree?
Don't. Yeah, I mean, I also just always thought it's nice. You've done... it's. I think it's appropriate to go to the start of Hill Valley. Like, why not? Shit.
Yeah.
You've done the future. You've done the 50s. You've done what was the present. Like, sure, let's do this.
Yeah, I think 2. I like 2. I think it's probably the weakest, if I'm being honest. I mean, the first movie I think is just solid. Period. And it stands on its own.
Oh yeah.
And then, like I say, I think the third has a pretty good story to it. I think 2 is kind of, the story of 2 is a little, a little wanky.
Anything with a cliffhanger, too, is going to inherently, due to its just inherent incompleteness, is going to feel a little weird.
Yeah. But I do like 2. Actually, 2 was my favorite when I was a kid.
Well, because I think we all loved the 2015 stuff.
Yeah, the hoverboard was awesome.
Bojos.
I wanted that so bad.
Speaking of all this time travel, How the fuck does the orb of time work?
Yeah, profits.
Chronoton particles.
Yeah, and both Darvin and Kira have mastered it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Done. Success.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like
because,
you said,
here's the thing: if the Bajorans have an orb of time that allows you to travel in time, how the fuck did the occupation happen?
Well, it had been missing apparently, right?
It was on Cardassia.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Cardassians
now that they have
it,
they can go back and prevent the occupation.
Yeah, no, that thing should probably be destroyed.
True. With the wormhole and Bajor.
And wait, if the Cardassians have an orb of time,
they didn't know what they had.
Yeah.
How
they
the
don't
fuck
look
does
at the orb.
Darvin know how to use this thing?
Yeah,
and what
don't
it can
ask.
do?
He's played a lot of Legends of Zelda.
I mean, this guy, practically fucked up, a plot to poison people. And he's smart enough to figure out the orb of fucking time? Jesus.
I mean, when you think about the ramifications of if old Darvin had succeeded, because like I said, so what if they killed? Well, like I said, who would have brought back the whales?
That's true.
McCoy.
Like, it wouldn't have just been blowing up Kirk. You'd have come back to a future where Earth had been decimated by the probe.
And on that note, also, the Klingon homeworld would probably be, if not destroyed, at least completely diminished. Because remember, after Praxis exploded, they gave them a 50-year time life.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
Whatever. Yeah, clearly it had something to do with the events of 6 that they managed to keep Kronos from...
Well, I think the idea was that they had, a trade relationship with the Federation that allowed them to get, the resources that they weren't going to be getting from Praxis.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the long run, he actually probably would have fucked the Empire over worse.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Idiot. And he should have thought of that, because he knows what happened.
Yeah, and he's also a fucking genius because he figured out the orb of time.
But he's also a fool.
Like Rom. Rom is both those things.
Yes, there we go. And he's our
Kira shows up in this episode for a shot of opening the orb of time.
She has 3 lines.
She's in the frame story, and she speaks a couple of lines, but
yeah. I wonder if it's also harder, getting a pregnant woman on the set and all this stuff. Give her a couple days off.
She was probably very pregnant.
She's full to bursting.
Yeah.
If they were filming this prior to, if this was the episode that they did right before the last one that
I believe that's
the
right.
assignment
where she went into labor,
she went into labor, she was probably ready to pop.
She was like those Tribbles, just full of babies.
Yep.
And grain.
So much grain. Also sneezes.
Jake made a great comment that I wrote down to make sure that I got to say it on the podcast. And Jake said something to the effect of, these time cops realize they're talking to Gabriel Bell, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a great scene where they're like, yeah, you can't make any changes to the timeline. That's the top priority. I'm like, you do realize you're talking to Gabriel Bell here, right? Right, boys?
Well, they probably just passed that one off as a no harm, no foul, like they did with the Tribbles. They're like, yeah, it all turned out fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing that the Department of Temporal whatever
investigation
is pretty toothless.
It's probably these 2 guys.
What?
No, we see more of them.
Maybe they're just there to document the things.
Maybe.
And because what are they going to do? I went back and I took a dump on James Kirk's head.
I love how much the time cops
when he was
hate
sleeping.
Kirk.
And it's like, all right.
17 separate infractions, thickest file on record.
Nice. Love it.
I
Very
wonder,
typical.
they must have gone through and figured out all of the time travel incidents.
Memory Alpha counts specifically 7 in all of TOS, and then there's all this conjecture of what if Turk also did this and this? But there's 7 definite ones that they can have evidence of in episodes.
There could be multiple infractions within a single episode.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, he went back in time.
True.
It's not just going back in time; it's going back in time and doing something.
Yeah,
and stealing
nerve pinching the guy on the bus.
Yes.
Yeah.
You go back to, say, City on the Edge of Forever. Went back in time, stole some clothes, made a lot of contact with Edith Keeler. All this other stuff, like...
How much contact, Chris?
Yeah, like even just Star Trek 4 itself.
Oh god, it's a nightmare.
Like, well, you put these glasses there, which were then later gifted back to you. So you have this cycle of a pair of glasses that have no origin.
You stole 2 whales.
You said double dumbass on you, which prior to that had never been held.
3 whales.
Or heard.
True.
Gracie was pregnant.
That's right. True.
And stealing those 3 whales actually leads to the extinction of the humpback whale on Earth.
Oh.
Until the 2400s, where they suddenly show up again.
When they show up out of nowhere, mysteriously. There's a crushed trash can in Golden Gate Park that
the
that
city
trash
has to pay
can
to
was going to be very important to the timeline.
Shit.
He actually took a woman from 1986.
Yes.
No one likes
that. There's a human being that has been moved in time.
Oh yeah, forgot about that major fucking event.
She's like an orphan. Nobody will miss her.
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
They tried to imply it was okay they took the whales because they were about to get killed anyway.
Yeah,
but
she was a top marine biologist.
Busy lifting drinks.
Yeah, like she'd had a life.
Yeah, but she kind of insisted, so that was her fault. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I mean...
McCoy regrew a kidney.
McCoy regrew a kidney. Scotty gave that guy the formula for transparent aluminum.
And Chekhov tried to find nuclear vessels.
Yeah. Oh, God, the number... somewhere in like a CIA vault is a Klingon disruptor and communicator from the 23rd century.
Yep.
Like, that is probably that single event is probably just why they founded the entire fucking agency.
I was gonna say, it sounds like we already have more than 17 incidents
17 in that movie.
Just in the 4th movie.
Well, yes, but they're not all Kirk.
Oh, fair enough.
Some are McCoys, some are...
Well, yeah, but he was the captain, so really...
Well, yes, but, either way, if you assume that a single event can have multiple infractions, I'm surprised it's only 17.
Yeah, fair enough.
So here's a question.
They took a fuck ton of seawater.
They did.
Yeah.
Here's a question. For fans who hadn't seen TOS, who hadn't seen Trouble with Tribbles, how followable is this episode? Because there is a lot going on at any given time.
That's a good point.
It is not.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. I also just don't think...
That's not the audience for this episode.
I don't think that's the audience. I honestly don't... Even if you hadn't seen Trouble with Tribbles, I think if you weren't aware of Trouble with Tribbles, I think you'd be really lost. I think you could have not seen it, but know that it existed.
Yeah, know what Tribbles are.
And still enjoy this episode, if not quite understand everything that was happening. And I think if you're aware of the original series and what Kirk and Spock are, you can enjoy this episode without really following it.
Yeah. Like the comment that Jadzia says, "Oh, look how handsome he is." I mean Spock. And when, anyone knows, like, Kirk is the one that the ladies go for. That's just in the zeitgeist.
Nurse Chapel.
Yeah. Oh, and his ex from the flower jizz planet.
Yeah, that's right.
Leilani or something?
That sounds right.
Leilani, it sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, but at this point it was already in the zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah,
that Kirk was the womanizer and
Kirk drift had thoroughly set in by that point.
Yeah.
Which is a term I only learned recently.
Yeah, what does it mean?
It's what we've been saying, isn't it? It's
the fact that
Kirk
like
is
you
not
actually,
what he is portrayed to be.
Yeah, when you watch
third season, he is.
Third season, he's starting to go in that direction a bit more. But like when you watch TOS all the way through, it's like, oh no, he's actually really quite by the book, and
he's extremely by the book. He's a fucking
Yeah.
stickler for the rules. Yep. I'll say that on my deathbed.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, and I pointed this out to somebody. What you said, Jake, is like the fact that he does everything he does in Star Trek 3 is actually shocking.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if you look at everything up till that point, he'd bend the rules sometimes a little, maybe. But this was just flagrant. But everyone retroactively thinks of Kirk as having always been like that. But that's not actually the case.
No, it's really not.
Yeah. I think it's, I mean, we've had this conversation before, but, I think it's worth, that it's, I don't know why it started. I don't know. I think it might just be like a Shatner thing. Like people like to, like the Zap Brannigan Shatner illusion.
Yeah, well, I think also it's because I'm certainly when I was a kid, it was easier to catch the TOS movies than it was to catch TOS on television. So I think for a lot of people, the movie version of Kirk is kind of the one they're more used to.
The canonical Kirk.
Yeah.
Kirk doesn't chase tail really in any of the movies, though, does he?
Well, we haven't gotten to the 2009
Oh, God,
movie.
that doesn't count.
Jesus.
That's a
Well,
Yeah,
no,
well,
but
that's
like-
the other thing. Like, yeah, there's that angle to Kirk, which is the portrayal of, he's the rule-breaking rogue, which is completely 100% false, except for perhaps 3 and 4. But
a little bit 2. He talks about the Kobayashi Maru.
The Kobayashi Maru comes up in 2, right?
Yeah, but again, he's not. That wasn't a breaking of the rules so much. That was
He got a commendation for original
He got
thinking.
a commendation for original thinking for thinking outside the box.
Yeah, but he still cheated. I mean...
Yeah,
on his, third or fourth try of the thing.
Yeah, and that's still, and that's his sort of student days, where he's maybe still a little bit more of a cut-up, sort of.
Well,
But
then
we
he
definitely
knocked up
don't see
his
that in the
wife
show.
and
No.
never saw her again. And his kid.
But also,
so.
the womanizing thing. Yeah, he gets his shirt off a bunch. He kisses some ladies.
It happens way more in season 3 than did in the first 2. That much is certain.
In season 1, because I'm doing a rewatch right now, in season 1, he comes across exes all the time.
That's true, yeah.
But, aside from the fucking one in shore leave who isn't actually even there, he doesn't, make advances on them.
No, that's true.
Well, I also think that part of that is, it's not so much that he's a horn dog, but that he's a leading man, right?
Yeah, and especially in a 60s
era,
adventure
a leading
show.
man, exactly. A leading man is James Bond.
Yeah.
What were you going to ask, Caitlin?
Was he the one who kept happening upon exes, or was Picard, where it was like, I haven't seen you in 2 months, 3 days, and 5 hours?
That's specifically Kirk.
Yeah, that is a specific Kirk X.
Okay, that's okay.
That was
2
from...
exes.
No, I was going to say, it wasn't just
There's
one.
2,
It happened more than once, for sure. I just couldn't remember if it was Kirk or Picard.
That was the Finney tube, right? Was that...
I think so.
Yeah, the woman from shore leave, a real
Too
Shaw.
bad they couldn't get Finney into this episode, huh?
Yeah, that's really the episode that they should have redone, is
Court Martial? Court Martial's boring as fuck.
I know, but they could have had the button, Darvin goes and he switches the Finney tube button on the armrest.
Jesus.
Oh God, hold on to that. Write that as a fanfic for
There you go.
the end of DS9.
Oh no.
Oh God. I just thought it was absolutely, this whole thing was just delightful.
It's funny, because it is. It's just so blatantly fan wanky, but it's just... I think it's because it's so earnest, it can't be annoying.
That makes sense. Yeah, everyone's
it
full
wears
of
its
joy.
fan wank on its sleeve. It's not trying to pretend not to be. It is not Star Wars, right?
It's not being like...
This is serious. Also...
Well, and also,
AT-ATs! Oh my god! Shit!
The problem with Easter eggs sometimes is, it feels like the little wink and nod, look, you have special secret knowledge that not everyone else does. This is we're not trying to act like this is a secret. This is in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is, like you said, Ames, at one point, it's a celebration of 30 years of this program.
Yeah. There's a good quote in my book that basically they say Jadzia is more or less the audience surrogate.
Yeah.
Jadzia as Dax
definitely
has memories of this time, and she's she's full on wanking about it.
Yeah.
Big time. She actually says that to him too. She's like, it's hard. I lived through this. It's hard for me to be here and not want to get back into it again.
Even though you won't let me go see Koloth. Table flip.
Yeah, I was totally bummed. I really was hoping we'd get to see him, but...
Yeah.
Although, even though Jadzia is the one that's wanking all over the place, it is Sisko who brings up the Gorn fight out of nowhere. It's this was a well-known enough event that,
Well, keep in mind that he really likes baseball, so liking interesting things isn't necessarily...
That's true.
I think we even mentioned that Cassidy Yates' brother's team is based on Cestus 3, so maybe he just happens to know, Cestus 3. The Gorn were there.
Oh,
There's probably a statue of them fighting there near the...
Well, except the fight didn't actually happen on Cestus.
Oh, yeah, the fight was on a different planet, but there was
That's
the
just where
colony. The colony was promoted there.
Fine.
Still, you can put
improvised firearms as a required class at the Federation at the Starfleet Academy.
Shoveling Kraft mac and cheese into a bamboo rod.
Oh man,
it's a bad episode.
Like I said, I don't know. Oh god, the fucking terrible digital blinks they gave the Gorn in the remaster.
Oh, did you end up going and watching them?
I've found clips. I never found one to share on the site, sadly. But yes, it makes me very grateful I own the free remasters on DVD still.
I wish this was a video podcast so people could see me doing Gorn
the
punches.
Slow arm thing. Oh, man.
Nice.
So good. So I'm feeling like we have pretty much said everything we want to say about this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out and go play in that Tribble pit.
Yes.
I would play the fuck out of that Tribble pit. I would dive in like
samesies. It would be like Scrooge McDuck in his vault, but instead of coins, it would be tribbles, and it would be wonderful.
It would be great.
Except that a lot of them would be dead and kind of weird.
Well, a living version then.
What if you accidentally squished one?
They're fine.
All right.
Then the babies just pop out.
Oh no!
Oh no!
It's like the animated version where it gets too big and explodes into a million little tribbles.
Oh no! Well, listen. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more,
I do.
Listen, this is season 5. We got 2.7 seasons left of Deep Space Nine.
That's so weird.
So join us again next week. You can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, I don't know, YouTube Music or something, Apple Podcasts. Google Play's dead, R.I.P. But yeah, you can find us there. You can find us on Facebook if you search for A Star to Steer Her By. We are at SSHB Podcast on Tumblr and Twitter. And if you want, you can go to SSHB Pod, sorry. You can also go to sshbpodcast.com, which will take you either to our Tumblr page directly, or it'll take you to our website.
But we got great articles on the Tumblr right now, Caitlin.
We do. Ames, what did you recently posted something for us, didn't you?
Yeah.
What's your newest post?
I did a book review on Uhura's autobiography.
Oh, lovely.
Which is appropriate because we saw a little bit of Uhura today.
Yeah, that is good. So can you give us like a...
Oh, you want
a highlight or something?
You want the dirty details?
Yeah.
Okay, here's a dirty detail.
All right.
I didn't know this until recently, that Nichelle Nichols and Gene Roddenberry were a thing.
What?
Yeah. Did you not read my article, Chris?
Not yet. I was busy.
I like that you said Chris, but you didn't not me. That's
I specifically asked Chris too.
I normally read everything on the Tumblr.
No, it's like apparently at the same time that A, Gene Roddenberry was married to his first wife, and B, also having an affair with Majel Barrett, he was having a thing with Nichelle Nichols, and when he finally said, "Okay, I want to make this right. I'm going to put the two women in a room together and talk about this." Nichelle and Majel, of course, knew each other, and they're like, "Oh, it's you! Oh, that's funny!
Wow,
you should have
Gene
him."
Roddenberry fucks. Who knew?
Everyone knew.
That was pretty well known.
Fine.
So, are you telling me there is potentially an alternate timeline somewhere where he wound up with Nichelle and she was Lwaxana?
That'd be a good show.
She'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I actually would prefer to think of the alternate universe where it's more Wonder Woman-esque, where Majel and Nichelle get together and like leave him tied up in the room and they make their escape together. That's the version I want.
There we go.
That would be hot.
Yeah,
well,
and then
damn.
basically Nichelle said, you two love each other. I got my own thing to do. You go ahead. And Gene was like, I don't know how you could possibly do that. And she's like, because I've got my own goddamn life. What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh, sorry. Did you think that I lived and died for you? Fuck no. Wow. Good for Nichelle, I guess.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so read that and much, much more. The much, much more is lots of racist, sexist stuff that you'd expect because fucking Star Trek. Yeah,
well,
that's up on the Tumblr.
And the fucking 60s. I mean, you know, it's not as much Star Trek as everything.
Yeah, if you all remember how badly they treated Rand, this is worse.
Ugh.
But no, also up on the Tumblr are our tops and bottoms from season 4, which we talked about recently. They're fun. Good times were had by all.
Yeah, fanfics, everything. It's a good time. All right. Well, next week we'll be discussing 2 more Deep Space Nine episodes. Let He Who Is Without Sin... ... and Things Past. Thank you again for joining us. I have been Caitlin.
I have been Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is Always Ames.